Welcome to the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show, created and hosted by Scott Knudsen, to explore the crossroads of horses and business. Now here's your host, Scott Knudsen.
Hi, and welcome to the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show. I'm your host, Scott Knudsen. Whether you're listening to us on the radio, on our NBC affiliate KCAA out in California, or watching our podcast on one of our many platforms, we want to thank you and thank you for supporting the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show. Today, we got a very special guest, Keith Mundee. He is the president of American Hat Company, and I've been in love with this company for a long time. And whenever I went to their showroom in Dallas and met all the wonderful people, I just couldn't wait to get Keith on. And Keith, thank you so much for being on the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks for having me. I sure appreciate what you guys are doing.
Oh man! So let's talk about you. So, did you grow up in the Western industry, or was it something you just tried to get to quickly?
Well, my father wasn't in the Western industry. My grandfather had a ranch in Chino, California, and then so I kind of grew up around a little bit of that. But to be honest with you, he sold that when I was in probably junior high school, and so then I transitioned and focused more on baseball and other sports. And it wasn't until I ran into a buddy that I graduated with, and he was roping. And so then I started roping again. And so that's a thanks to Dusty Gravatt, a friend of mine from high school that kind of sucked me back into it. And I'm going to say that had to be in the mid 80s. And then,
Awesome.
Ever since then, I had a construction company for a little while in Southern California, and then got out of that and moved to Boise, Idaho. I felt like I wanted to just throw my body in the path of progress. Everything had worked really good for me, but I wanted to get my kids out of Southern California, and I really was just trying to, again, get in the path of progress. And so then I ran into a company called Miller International, which is the maker of Cinch and Krugel and Rockies and Southern Thread and Miller Ranch, a bunch of great brands, and worked for that company for 15 years. That was a great experience. And then, so then I moved from Boise to Denver to run that company for a little while. And then from there, Keith Maddox and I had a conversation, and at the time he had cancer, and he was looking for somebody to help succeed him at the company. And so he was asking me if I knew anybody. Well, I thought about it for a couple of weeks, and we called back, and I said, what about me? What I need, and in his typical fashion, he said, oh, I can't afford you. And we sat down and made a deal. But, and that was a huge turning point in my life, because not only did Keith Maddox become a mentor, and really, he didn't tell me how to live, he showed me how to live. So one of his mantras was quality of life. His brand is a plus and an X, which stands for positive times. Absolutely. And he immersed me in that thought culture. There were times that I would say something like, well, if it's my luck, whatever. And he'd go, no, don't say that. Don't say that. He says, say that in the affirmative. And so I learned how to do that. And years earlier, I had read a book called The Secret, which is really a book based on biblical principles. And, come to find out, him and I both read the same book. We both signed the book and gave it to our daughters. He had 2 daughters. I had 2 daughters. And so our paths were pretty parallel. And then once I really applied some of the principles from the book and from his life, things really kind of came together for me, came together for American Hat Company.
Man, that is awesome. That is such a great story. I've never seen that anywhere. So I appreciate you sharing that. And for him to reach out to you just shows how much he respected you, for sure. And to get your opinion on it.
Yeah. Well, he was always somebody that I looked up to. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that, and we'll talk more about roping here in a minute. But I'm already off track. We're still in the first segment. But I love that, the positive mindset. And I was reading about positive times and the symbol, and they can get stickers for their hats and all. But I love how y'all put that at the forefront, because that's the way I try and live my life too.
Well, that was his cattle brand. Yeah, was the plus and the X, and so he wouldn't let me use it. I said, "Man, we ought to use that on hats." And he said, "No. It's not about me. It's about the cowboy hat." So that was great. So when he passed, that's when I thought, well, for, whatever, it might be a month or 2 months, whatever, we'll put that on our hats in remembrance of Keith Maddox. Well, now it's been 3 years, and Forey Smith, who plays Lloyd on Yellowstone, did a little feature on that Positive Times. When I told him what that meant, he wanted that on his hat. And when he did a little piece on his social media, the next morning I come in, and the girl that sends those stickers out said, I think I've got, something's wrong with my computer. And I said, well, why is that? She says, I have 2,200 emails requesting stickers. Well, it was all generated from Forey's social media post showing that. So that's again, awesome. Keith wouldn't let me use it when he was alive, but hopefully he's not mad at me when we meet again in heaven. But I just want to keep his memory alive, and I believe that mindset, we all need that mindset, in today, in the world we live in today, for sure.
Absolutely. I speak about it all the time, and I love that mindset. And I love to talk about American Hat with that mindset, because it's so important. And, when you think of even a sticker on a hat, somebody sees that and they ask that question, what does that mean?
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
That's it, man. And the legacy lives on, and you get to share that, what that means.
Yep. And I've never had a tattoo, but when Keith passed, he inspired me so much in my life that inside my forearm, I had a tattoo. It was something he used to always say. And so I had that put on my arm so that I would remember that every morning when I wake up. And it's, if you're not living on the edge, you're taking up too much room.
I love that.
Yeah, and it says Hat King and then the +X. And so I have that on my inside of my right forearm, just so that every morning I wake up, I got to remember that the fruit is out on the limb. Nothing fantastic is ever going to happen if you stay in your comfort zone and you hug the tree of that, the trunk of that tree. You got to take a little risk. You got to reach out there and try to get that fruit. So that's what that's about.
Man, I love that. It sure is funny, and it's a good quote. But once you get down into it, it means a lot. There's a lot there in that little short quote.
Yeah, exactly. But that's kind of the cowboy way of being able to say what you want to say in the fewest amount of words.
Absolutely, it is. Yeah, that's why I don't know too many.
Yeah, I usually turned it into a long, big story, but you got the point.
Absolutely, man. That's great. I know people that are watching or listening to us on KCAA love that, because it's encouraging. They're probably trying to write it down right now, but I love that. And that's the only way to live your life is in a positive mindset, because, life's tough. And if you're not happy, it's got to be tougher.
It is. Yeah, it's a choice. Every morning you wake up, it's a choice. And again, it's, I'm not trying to preach to anybody, but it's a biblical principle to renew your mind daily. And so I visually, in my mind, I just think about, I'm, scrubbing out all the bad stuff, keeping all the good stuff. And I choose to go forward with a positive mindset. And I don't say, well, with my luck, it would be like this or like that. I'm saying, I guarantee it's going to go my way. And,
absolutely.
And even if it doesn't, I learned something when it doesn't go my way. Then I've got an additional experience.
Right, absolutely. Something you can learn from and share and help somebody else.
Exactly. That's what it's all about. Yeah.
I love that. So growing up, what did you do when you said I picked up, you roped? Did you team rope or calf rope? Or?
Team rope mostly, and then kind of got away from it. It wasn't at the time. I graduated in 1975, so it wasn't as popular. And I was living in Southern California in Chino. And so it wasn't, a big deal then. And then after I graduated and got in the construction business, and then a buddy of mine, Dusty Gravatt, from Riverside, California, he was roping, and we run into each other somewhere, and he was in the construction business. And so he said, we're going to rope at my house this afternoon if you want to come by. So I did. And, one thing led to another. And before I knew it, I was sucked back into the vortex. And, but the Western life, it is the only way that I've ever been comfortable.
Yeah. We're so blessed to get to do it and live the cowboy lifestyle and just be in the industry. That's what I love so much. I know you do. And you get to lead a great company. But like you say, it sucks you in when you're around those kind of people, just wanting to rope and the horses and it just brings you back into that. And there's a lot of
I
rodeos in there in Southern California, a lot of roping.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
My most embarrassing moment happened at my hometown rodeo.
Oh, no.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's terrible. I got my rope. I got my rope underneath my horse's tail. I was heading, and I got my rope underneath my horse's tail and got bucked off at my hometown rodeo team roping. So that's my most embarrassing moment ever.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that.
Never went back.
Yeah, just left everything.
I'm gonna leave it at that. Dropped the mic and I walked off.
Oh my goodness. You know, it's funny, no matter how much you practice and what you do, just sometimes things like that happen.
Oh yeah.
You know, and I roped the back leg before actually, you know, just going out there and pass rope and trying to catch some cattle, and you just never know. And I guess that's the sport of it. But
oh yeah. 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 Well, that's the whole thing. And, you know, and now I'm members of a group called the Rancheros Vistadores that have a ride every year in San Ynez, California. And the probably the most pressure packed event you could ever be in would be the team branding there, because you got 500 guys that all know what they're doing surrounding the branding pen there. And it's heckling, and you know, they're liable to do something to you no matter what, you know, cut your rope or something. So
oh my goodness. And that's yearly?
It's all good, clean fun. Every year, the 1st of May, we make the trek back to San Ynez, California. The ride's got some, you know, great history. Goes back to, you know, Ronald Reagan and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool, fun thing to get to do.
How cool, man. I'd look forward to that all year. I mean, that sounds like a great time for sure, and making memories. And, you know, even if you get jabbed a little bit.
Oh yeah, it's the highlight of the year. Yeah, oh yeah. There's always somebody, you know, that's got more money, it's done more things than you have, that's ropes better than you. So it's definitely a place to go get humbled.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, oh my goodness. So let's talk Western industry before our first break. So when you were in the Western industry for the other company and then going into American Hat, what was the change, or what did you see this explosion? Because it seems like everybody wants to buy a hat and wear a pair of boots, which I love. You know, I love that so much. And you and I get to live the lifestyle, but they maybe for 30 minutes a week.
Yes.
But when did you start seeing that?
Well, American Hat Company, I've been here now 12 years, and American Hat Company's been on a steady growth pattern, you know, for the full 12 years. We're just now at the point where we've hit kind of our capacity, meaning we can sell more hats than we possibly can make.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. It's a good and a bad place to be, because I hate telling somebody no. And right now I've got about 350 accounts waiting to be open, new accounts that want to open with American Hat. But if you can't service the existing accounts, you don't want to open new accounts. But we had a similar thing happen to us during the movie Urban Cowboy back in the day. And that was really about an oil field worker. I think it happened in the mid 70s. Oil field worker that was going to Gilly's bar, and the guy won the dance contest. He won the mechanical bull contest, and there was a punching bag, I guess, that they would hit, and it would measure who could hit the hardest. Well, he won all 3 of them. So they did that movie Urban Cowboy. And at that point, then it gave permission for people that didn't live in a ranch or on a farm to wear a hat. And so we had a boom then. And then I believe Yellowstone has helped a lot. The Cowboy Channel has helped a lot. And I just think kind of maybe the state of the country and kind of where we're headed, we got a lot of things that, you know, I don't want to get political, but, you know, up is down and down's up and right's left and left's right. I mean, nobody, you know, it's just very confusing. And I think people have a tendency to want to get back to their roots and the things that, you know, make them proud about America.
Absolutely, man. That's well said, man. Yeah. Absolutely. You know, it's fun to see the growth. And people come in and we really try and be as welcoming as we can in our industry. And people come in and they see that or feel that. And why would they want to leave? You know, we talk to so many first time horse people and even Western wearing people. Yep. And I ask them, you know, why do you want to do this? They said, because everybody's so nice. And I love the ethics about it. I love the work ethic about it. And that's just says a lot about everything, especially your leadership in American Hat and what y'all are doing for sure.
Well, that's what the cowboy hat stands for. So when I talk to high school rodeo kids, I tell them all the time, hey, anybody in the world has permission to wear a baseball cap. I mean, anybody can wear it. And I said, and it makes no sense. You got it on backwards and you're squinting. It's got a bill on it for a reason. But but so I said, if you have the opportunity to wear a cowboy hat, then by all means wear a cowboy hat. And but make sure when you put that hat on, you got to realize that you're representing a lot of famous people that have gone before you that represent this lifestyle, and people have a tendency to lump us all together. So don't act a fool when you're wearing that hat. If you got that hat on, you better open doors, and it better be yes sir, no, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am. And so that's what comes with wearing that cowboy hat.
Man, I love that. I love that. And man, you got me fired up. So when we come back from break, we're going to talk with Keith more about American Hat Company and how it started and what's the future hold for American Hats. So we'll be right back on the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show.
Scott will be right back with more.
Hi, I'm Scott Knutson, host of the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show, heard on KCAA Fridays, 3 p.m. Pacific. I'd like to talk to you about something I'm very passionate about. Those that know me know I love my coffee. In the morning, afternoon, and even late in the evening, I enjoy a good cup of coffee almost any time of the day. Now, my team at the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show has been working for several months on creating and introducing our own brand of coffee. We wanted to make sure that we got it just right. We don't want to put our name on anything unless we're 100% certain that it's the best product available, and we've finally done it. We have created a wonderful line of coffees, 13 fantastic flavors offered in whole bean, ground, and K-Cups. Any way you like to brew your coffee. Now, each of our coffees carries our brand, the very same brand that we put on our horses, our trailers, and our chaps. So you know that this is a quality product. And we only use 100% Arabica beans, the very best beans available. Just listen to some of these wonderful blends and flavors. Jamaican Me Crazy, Honduran San Marcos, Chocolate Cherry Amaretto, Breakfast Blend, and my very favorite, Haley's Blend. A coffee so good, we named it after my daughter. You can order these coffees today by going online to javacowboy.com. That's javacowboy.com. And if you order today, you can get an extra 10% off your final purchase just by entering the promo code COWBOY on checkout. Remember, that's promo code COWBOY for an extra 10% off. Just go to javacowboy.com to order your coffee today. Hello, I'm Scott Knutson, host of the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show. I want to tell you about a product I've tried and I love, and I feel the Cowboy Entrepreneur audience will as well. It's Rebellious Infusions. Rebellious Infusions, they're little packets of flavor. And it gets hot in South Texas, over 100 degrees every day. And I like my water, but it's water. So I use these infusions, put them in my water. It makes it cold. It's great flavor, 0 sugar, 0 calories. It's pure energy infusions. Rebellious Infusions. Go to drinkrebellious.com or on all social media platforms. Drink Rebellious. Hi, and welcome back to the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show. I'm your host, Scott Knutson, here with Keith Mundee. He is the president of American Hat Company, and let's talk American Hat. So would you mind just giving us a little bit of history, like when it was founded and where it is now? Is just such a long road, but a great road.
Sure. It's a great story, to be honest with you, and it's really a cowboy story. So Bubba Silver started American Hat Company in 1915 in Houston, Texas, when they put the port in there. So he thought, man, that'd be a good place to do a cowboy hat or hats in total. And so the company then was sold to Bill and Billy George. And in the mid-90s, Keith and Susan Maddox went down to buy the company. And it was going to be, several $1 million. And so Keith gathered the money through, some friends, investors, and other things. And he went back down there and he said, okay, I got the money put together. I'm ready to do the deal. And they said, well, we changed our mind. We're going to give it to the kids. And so they gave it to the kids. And then, and Keith was, at that point, he was concerned, that why it didn't work out, because that was always his dream. But the kids ended up kind of running it in the ground over the next 10 years. And so in 2002, 2003, he was able to buy it from the bank and paid significantly less for it than what they had wanted for it at the time. And so he started making hats in Houston. He went to Compass Bank and wrote him a check and made him whole. And they gave him the keys, and he went down and started making hats again. And he decided to move it to Bowie, Texas. The Economic Development Department here in Bowie had a building that was perfect. It used to be a Hager Slack factory. That's where I'm at right now. And he had some friends on the Economic Development Department, and they made a deal that he couldn't pass up. So moved it here to Bowie. And you would have thought at that point he would have lived happily ever after. His dream was fulfilled. But we had a grass fire come through Bowie shortly thereafter in 2003. And we had a lot of raw material that was sitting in these ocean-going containers in our parking lot that they had moved up here from Houston. And it smoked all of that stuff out. All the raw material got smoke damage. So he lost $13.5 million in that fire. And, so I wasn't here at the time, but in Keith Maddox's true fashion, I can just see him tilt his hat back on his head just a little bit and shove all of his chips to the middle of the table. And he said, I'm going to bet it all. I bet it all on American Hat Company. And he did. And it wasn't easy. He had to fight his way back. But, in true cowboy spirit, I mean, he did what he had to do. Him and Susan both did what they had to do,
right,
in order to make this company successful. And then luckily he had it teed up just right for me. And when I came here, then he had all the right things in place, and we started at that point really growing, and it's been a great ride. Other than the fact that Keith passed away on September 4th, 2019. But we're still running the business the way he would. And then Susan now owns the business. Mm-hmm. She's been fantastic to work for. She spends most of her time in Fort Worth because she also owns the best hat store in Fort Worth. And yeah. And so out of that one store, they sell more cowboy hats than probably any store in the world.
Well, it's a great location.
Yeah, you can't beat the location.
Yeah. So I love that story. And I think it's so important for somebody either listening to us on KCA or watching the podcast, the entrepreneurial spirit. Not only did he have a passion about the industry and a love for the cowboy, but he also had the grit and fortitude to, not give up on the dream the first time when it went to the daughters or after the fire. He just kept working.
Yes.
He just kept writing it out.
He'll tell you all the time. He's got 1,001 sayings, but he would say all the time, he said, if you never quit, they can't beat you.
That's exactly.
And then he'd also say the surest way to succeed is to try one more time. And so he just stayed at it. He just had no quit in him at all. And he just stayed at it. And I'll never forget the day that they told him, this is kind of ironic, but the day that they told him there's nothing more we can do for you, he was in the hospital in Fort Worth, nothing more we can do for you, we're going to send you home on hospice. That was a Tuesday. And I didn't know they had given him that news, right? But I called him to tell him what our shipments were for the day, which was a record for the company. So the record shipments, he said, no, hang on a second. He said, they got me on, morphine and everything else here. He said, so I'm, if I ask you some dumb questions, it's the morphine, it's not me. And I said, I told him what the number was we had shipped for the day. And he said, hang on, is that for the month or for the day? And I go, no, sir, that's for the day. That's for the day. He says, oh my gosh. He said, are we blessed or what? And I just, and he had just gotten the news earlier that there was nothing more and that it might be a couple of weeks. And he was just as positive as can be on that phone call. And I told him, hey, so-and-so called and checked on you. And, so he goes, we got the best friends in the world, don't we? And he said, we're so blessed, aren't we? And I go, yes, sir, we sure are. It's been a great ride. And at the end of every phone call, he would tell me, he'd say, I love you and I'm glad you're there. And, there was many times I got calls from him and I'd been, with a group of guys and I'd, end my phone call with, hey, I love you too. And they go, was that your wife? And I said, no, that's Keith Maddox. So they said, the owner of the company tells you that he loves you? And I said, yeah, he wasn't afraid to express himself, and he didn't want to get out of this world without telling people that were important to him how he felt.
I love that, man. Thanks for sharing that. And that's just shows how much how confident he was to be able to share that emotion.
Yes.
And it sounds like y'all should have an American Hat Company book of quotes, because you're laying out some great ones, man, and it would sell for sure.
Oh, he's got a lot of them. He's got a lot of them, So the one that I've adopted here really is, it ain't nothing but a thing. Anytime I'd, call him and, hey, I got a little problem here, whatever. He goes, don't worry about it. It ain't nothing but a thing. So
love it. I love it.
He often says, never had a bad day.
That, when you have a problem and you just look at it like it's nothing, let's just keep going. Yep. That 30 seconds you dwell on the negative, you could already be fixing the problem and move on to something else. And that's just,
he would often say too, if money can solve it, it's not a real problem.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That's the truth.
Yeah.
That's the truth. So. And I love that quote, but I think it's so important for people to understand, when you have all this stress going on and the $13 million loss in a fire, and you have employees depending on your industry and your family, just to look at it in a positive way and keep going forward what he creates. And it can be done, but it's your mind. It's always your mind.
Yes. Yeah. He actually mastered the law of attraction.
Love that.
No matter what happened, wherever, everybody wanted to sit at his table, because I guarantee you there was going to be a lot of laughs. And I really thought that was Keith, or predominantly Keith, but now it's Susan. Now it's Susan Maddox has picked that up, and she's adopted that. That's her mindset. So everybody wants to sit at her table, because I guarantee you there's going to be some fun going on at that table. There'll be some funny stories told.
Yeah, well, you don't bring anyone down. You lift everybody up.
Exactly.
And people want that, need that, and that's just a testament for sure. And like I said earlier in the show, whenever I walked in the showroom at WESA, I felt that. And, I was with my daughter and Crystal, and I'm sorry, my wife, Tracy, and Crystal. And we left there. We're like, everybody was just so happy and smiling. It was so great to be around that environment.
Good. I'm happy to hear that.
Well, absolutely. And for sure. So, you got a great team at American Hat. So I was studying the website a little bit more, and then go on and then get stickers, for their hats, and they can definitely get the brand. And I see so many people now at the feed store at ranches or rodeos that have the American Hat sticker, and it's a symbol for sure. What is next for y'all as far as the company itself?
Well, we're working on some capacity issues right now, just trying to increase the amount of hats that we can make. So we're focused on that, increasing we have room here. We bought some more equipment. We're hiring more people, but one of his other things was quality. So we're focused on trying to do 4 things here: give you world-class quality, give you world-class customer service. We want to deliver the product on time, and we want to do that at a fair price. So the deliver on time's been a struggle, because we got so far behind once all these orders and stuff hit. But right now we're just increasing our capacity. But one thing we're not going to do is we're not going to sacrifice quality for quantity. So I don't want to apologize. If you've been waiting a long time to get your hats in your store, and I send them to you and you go, well, these aren't right. They're not, it's not the quality we wanted. That's certain death. So we continue to focus on quality, and that's our number one goal right now is, make sure that nothing slips on the quality, but yet we still got to make a few more hats every day.
Well, I think people will wait if they know they're getting the right product.
Yeah,
as me as a consumer, I would absolutely wait if I'm gonna get the right thing. Now, if it's late and wrong, that's terrible. But with y'all, they're gonna get the right thing. Just it might take a little bit longer. But it's great that there's such a demand for your product. That says everything.
Yeah, and that's overwhelming or heartwarming. And sometimes you feel overwhelmed. And I tell people in the factory, as a matter of fact, I told a lady out there today she's got a lot of hats behind her. And I said, you know how to eat an elephant? I said, you got to take it one bite at a time. But whatever you do, don't look up at the elephant. Don't look up.
No.
Just keep your head down and take a bite, and then just keep going. So
you look up, you might get a little intimidated, but
just do what you can do today, and then tomorrow we'll take care of tomorrow. So don't worry about it.
Absolutely. So unique hats. I saw a few unique hats. What are some unique hats? Maybe someone hadn't seen your website yet or seen them in the store that y'all produce.
We have two new colors in felts coming out. One is a burgundy kind of color, and that was inspired by Jackie Crawford. She liked that color a lot when we showed her some samples. So, and then, I thought, well, that's going to be predominantly a female hat, but nope, it's filtered over. A lot of guys have even picked it up. And then we did a hat that's a green. It's a green beret green. And so I have some friends that own a company called Horse Soldier Bourbon. And they were the first 12 guys in Afghanistan right after 9/11. So
wow.
These guys are true American heroes.
Absolutely.
And so there's a movie, it's called 12 Strong, and it's their story. There's another thing on Prime, it's called Legion of Brothers. So they have a great story, but we were looking for inspiration. So a green beret got passed over to me. And so at that point, I said, we're going to make a felt hat like that. And
that's
so
awesome.
That's what we're doing. But it's inspired by the movie 12 Strong and their story. They are truly American heroes.
And what's the name of their company?
It's called Horse Soldier Bourbon. So
awesome.
These 12 guys got dropped into Afghanistan, and their job was to organize the Northern Alliance to fight against the Taliban. And so that's what they did. They brought airstrikes and did all that, but they ended up attacking the town of Mazar Sharif, which was a town of 300,000 people that had been taken over by the Taliban. But they attacked the town with 2,500 men on horseback and 1,000 men on foot. So that's the story. That's the 12 Strong story.
Incredible.
And so they became known as horse soldiers. So there's a statue in New York that commemorates what they did there right after 9/11. And then these guys, when they came off their deployment and retired from the military, they all had a love of bourbon, and they decided to start a company called Horse Soldier Bourbon. And the bottle is formed from 9/11 steel. So it's award-winning bourbon in blind taste test. It's won a bunch of awards. So these guys are off and going again.
Man, I appreciate you sharing that story. And you know what's so cool about what you just said is the cowboy in our industry is built around, for sure ethics and hard work, but cattle and horses. And there's so many stories about horses around the world that, that save your country and fight for your country and help provide livings for us, they're the untold for sure in our industry. And I love that story. And they're still using horses today.
Yeah, and if you think about it today, there's guys like Chris Cox. If you talk to him in depth, the horse is a healer. There's ladies that have gone through traumas in their life. He has a special class just for that. But the horse can heal trauma, PTSD. So they're using it with veterans and all kinds of things. So the horse is actually a healer as well.
Absolutely. There's amazing things they're showing now. And we talk about some on our show. And I mean, it healed me multiple times, not from war issues, but from other things. Sure. I look out the window and I couldn't wait to get well. So I go back out there and work with my horses again. But the military, it's done so much. And for autistic, young adults. And it's just amazing what the horse does. And our industry supports that. And that makes you proud,
When you watch somebody who's been paralyzed that gets out of a wheelchair and gets on the back of a horse, we have Amberly Schneider. Her story just inspires me every day.
Every day.
When I think about, I'm too tired to do this or go to the gym or whatever, Amberly's doing it, so I need to get up and do it myself. But when you see somebody with 4 powerful feet underneath them, moving them along, as opposed to that wheelchair, it makes a difference.
That's a lot better deal for sure. And I love how y'all have her featured on your website. And because it's so important for people to read stories like that. And it just helps lift you, whether you've been through that kind of deal or not. Even if you haven't, it still helps you. It helps you read about her to give you that little extra grit to go do it yourself.
And she's a fantastic speaker. We actually had her come to the Cowboy Channel and speak to all of our endorsees. And she put them through a little test. And where Tough Cooper had to get in her wheelchair and go through an obstacle course. And yeah,
Oh,
and he tipped it over backwards, and then Amber Lee did it, and it was a piece of cake. She said, so it's all a realm of reference. It's what you get used to and what you got to work with, and you learn to work with that. So,
man.
yeah.
Amazing. That's awesome story. Awesome story. Well, we'll be right back on the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show. We'll ask what else is going on in American Hat and give some advice for some entrepreneurs and maybe tell a few more stories. We'll be right back with Keith Mundee as soon as the break's over.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you for listening to the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show. Scott will be right back with more. For more information on Scott Knudsen, the Cowboy Entrepreneur, visit us online at cowboyentrepreneur.com.
Howling at the moon while the innocents sleep through a canyon of concrete walls. I've been down, oh, but not this alone. 27 years, never missed a single sunset. Eyes growing green, living in the shadows, just another game to be seen. At the end of the day, nobody cares for coyotes. They're gonna burn us out of town. Just like a two-faced lion, nobody cares for coyotes. They're gonna burn us out of town.
Hi, I'm Scott Knudsen, host of the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show, heard on KCAA Fridays, 3 p.m. Pacific. I'd like to talk to you about something I'm very passionate about. Those that know me know I love my coffee. In the morning, afternoon, and even late in the evening, I enjoy a good cup of coffee almost any time of the day. Now, my team at the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show has been working for several months on creating and introducing our own brand of coffee. We wanted to make sure that we got it just right. We don't want to put our name on anything unless we're 100% certain that it's the best product available, and we've finally done it. We have created a wonderful line of coffees, 13 fantastic flavors offered in whole bean, ground, and K-Cups, any way you like to brew your coffee. Now, each of our coffees carries our brand, the very same brand that we put on our horses, our trailers, and our chaps. So you know that this is a quality product. And we only use 100% Arabica beans, the very best beans available. Just listen to some of these wonderful blends and flavors. Jamaican Me Crazy, Honduran San Marcos, Chocolate Cherry Amaretto, Breakfast Blend, and my very favorite, Haley's Blend. A coffee so good, we named it after my daughter. You can order these coffees today by going online to javacowboy.com. That's javacowboy.com. And if you order today, you can get an extra 10% off your final purchase just by entering the promo code COWBOY on checkout. Remember, that's promo code COWBOY for an extra 10% off. Just go to javacowboy.com to order your coffee today. Hello, I'm Scott Knutson, host of the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show. I want to tell you about a product I've tried and I love, and I feel the Cowboy Entrepreneur audience will as well. It's Rebellious Infusions. Rebellious Infusions, they're little packets of flavor. And it gets hot in South Texas, over 100 degrees every day. And I like my water, but it's water. So I use these infusions, put them in my water. It makes it cold. It's great flavor, 0 sugar, 0 calories. It's pure energy infusions. Rebellious Infusions. Go to drinkrebellious.com or on all social media platforms. Drink Rebellious. Hi, and welcome back to the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show. I'm your host, Scott Knutson, here with Keith Mundee, president of American Hat Company. And Keith, so somebody that wants to be a cowboy, at least maybe just wear a cowboy hat. What's your advice?
Well, I mean, anybody in the world has permission to wear a baseball cap. So one of the things, I had an interesting situation at NFR a couple of years ago. I had a guy that was looking at a really nice upper end 1000X hat. It was, a couple $1,000s, and he kept coming up and feeling the hat and looking at it. Then he'd look at his wife, and then he'd go back and talk to her, but she would never come up and look at the hat up close. And so finally I asked him, I said, well, tell me what's holding you up. And he said, I live in New York City. And I said, okay, so what's that got to do with anything? That's not a problem. He said, well, I just don't think I have permission to wear a cowboy hat. So, I asked him, I said, if your boots have never hit dirt, but if you go up to your penthouse suite and you lay your head on the pillow and you dream of bright blue skies and white puffy clouds, guess what? You might be a cowboy. And at that point, he said, I'm going to wear it. So he bought the hat and off he went. And, I still get a text from him every now and then. He says that crazy things happen to him when he's wearing his cowboy hat in New York City. That, a lot of opportunities. People say hi to him. He said, a lot of smiles back and forth. Man, I love your hat, that kind of thing. So he said he's addicted to wearing it now. So.
Oh, man, I love that. It's a mentality for sure. And I'm glad you gave him the opportunity to take that risk, and wear a hat in New York City.
It's not about a zip code. Not all of us are going to live on a farm or ranch. So, it's just one of those things where it's the symbolism of the hat.
I love that, man. So like at the NFR, when there's so many people coming around y'all's booth or at the showroom during WESA, what do you do? I know you're so busy meeting people and talking to people, but do you ever just sit back and kind of watch people, like people watch?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I do. I do that a lot, coming from the clothing business. And so, that just comes second nature. If I'm in an airport, I'm constantly, kind of looking at people, looking for trends. And then we have, designers that would go to high school rodeo, because really that's where the trends all start, is at high school rodeo. And so we don't make it mandatory that you wear an American hat at high school rodeo. We're the sponsor, but still you can wear any hat that you want. And because if we make them wear our hat, then at some point we're getting a false read. And so I like to see what hat they want to wear. And they, the hats are timeless, and the young kids are now, they'll wear the same hat that we'll wear, but they'll change the shape of it, and they'll make the shape their own. And so that's where shapes like the Cool Hand Luke come from. Some rodeo kid made it up and it became popular. So.
I love that. And on your site, American Hat Company, I love the pictures of the kids, wearing the different hats and engaged in the sport of rodeo, or just the Western lifestyle, and seeing how they embrace it and they're proud of it.
If you think about it, branding is a Western term, right? And we're all talking about
absolutely
brands and whatever. Well, branding is a Western term. And so as a rancher, what's your goal? You want to brand a lot of calves.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
That's our goal. That's why we became the official hat of the junior high school rodeo and the national high school rodeo, is because that's where it all starts. And, you brand those kids, and hopefully they stay with you as they graduate, even if it's not through the ranks of rodeo, but as they go on in other endeavors in life. So
right.
we're just trying to
love that.
them as a hat kid.
I love that. It's almost like riding for the brand. You grow up riding for that brand, and you just want to stay loyal to it because it's been good to you.
Yeah, exactly right. That's what happens. That's what
I love that. So let's talk entrepreneurship and business in general. So someone may be listening to us on the radio or watching our podcast, and they're thinking about starting a business, and it's scary. And can you give us some advice on first steps or how to overcome your fear to actually take that first step?
Well, yeah. Another good friend of mine is a football coach, and he's been a guy that's inspired me to do a lot of things. His name is John Baxter. Anyway, it goes back to if you're not living on the edge or taking up too much room, that you have to take some risks in life. Again, if you're going to just stay in your comfort zone, then you're going to die in your comfort zone.
Right.
And so you've got to take some risks in life. Those want to be calculated. You don't want to crawl out on a limb that's really not going to hold you. But you still got to get out on the limb a little bit. And so I just look at things and try to do the research on it, and try to make sure that it's something that I'm passionate about. If you're passionate about it, and that's what I do when I'm trying to hire people, you got to be passionate about what you do. Having a PhD or a master's in a subject doesn't make you great at it. Passion makes you great at it. And so whatever it is you're passionate about, if you're passionate about something, then I would pursue that and find out. You'll be surprised there's a way to make a living doing something you're very passionate about.
I love that, man. And I think passion, you don't look at your clock at quitting time, or your what. You just keep going because you love it.
Nope.
And I think that's a big thing. And what about setbacks? How does somebody overcome setbacks in their business? Like start something and they're loving it, they got the passion, then something happens.
Well, I go back to Keith Maddox was the guy that helped me, figure that one out. And that's, if you never quit, they can't beat you. And you just got it. The best way to succeed is to try one more time, and just. If that didn't work, okay, so that's not working. I got to go over here. You can try it over there. Try this. Try that. You got to try different things. You'll talk and I love studying the mindset of guys like Kobe Bryant, like Michael Jordan, like Shaquille O'Neal. I like listening to their mindset, and Navy SEALs, another one. Those guys. I have a great friend, Dee Pickett, who, all around champion of the world, started when he got out of the rodeo business, he started his own little business. Him and I worked together for a little bit in Idaho, and he's turned that thing into a huge business and wildly successful doing tension covered fabric buildings. And now, now he's got that thing going, Western Specialty Structures. And so it's people like that just have a stick-to-itness about them, and that's what you got to do. You just got to stick to it. You got to be.
It goes back to what you said, Keith, at the beginning. It's all mentality.
Yeah, you got to.
And it's grit.
A hobo on a ham sandwich. It's just, you can't let it go.
You can't.
Yeah,
you cannot. And I love that. A hobo on a sandwich.
A hobo on a ham sandwich. I don't know why the ham keeps coming in, but. Yeah,
I love it though. I love it because it's so true, and that's the mentality. It is scary, and you get your first setback.
Yeah,
it's really not a setback. It's just getting you ready for your next event, your next opportunity, because you're gonna figure something out that's gonna prepare you if you let it. And that's tough to get through that mental. But once you train your mind to always think positive, it's going to think positive first.
And so that's a Coach Baxter thing. Where he just you got to find a way to win. He is all about excellence, competitive excellence. Now, in this day and age, we have a tendency to say, well, everybody gets a trophy. Don't worry about it. We don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But in the sport of rodeo, you don't start off winning. You start off losing, right?
Yeah.
You don't start off winning. And so guys like Tough Cooper, like Trevor Brazile, those the greats, they all had to find a way to win. And so they watched video, or they figured out, what did I do wrong here? What did I do wrong there? And you just keep coming back and trying it again. And then all of a sudden you find the magic combination that puts you in the winner's circle. So
I love that. And I think it's also using technology, because back in the day, whenever training horses or whatever we were doing, it was so hard not to get better. Or, you'd know things, you'd take notes, but now you can video it.
Yes.
And then you can work out and you can do other things to help. So with the evolution of technology, you're able to do so much more,
right,
to become a winner quicker. Don't you? I mean, yeah.
Agreed. But not everybody wants to work at it as hard as everybody else does. I'm a big fan of Kobe Bryant, but I mean, he'd go to work at 4:00 in the morning and work from 4 to 6, and then he'd go home and have breakfast and maybe rest a little bit. He'd be back at 11, 11 to 3, and then, go rest again and then be back at 5. He said, if you start at 4 a.m., just think about how much more practice you're getting than your competitors are. And so you gotta be practicing while they're sleeping.
So everybody wants to be a winner. It's just not everybody wants to put in the work.
There you go.
And that's the part that separates. And that's why I read and study a lot of the same people, because they put in the work.
Yeah.
And I love that. And same with entrepreneurs, just like in rodeo, you have to, in my opinion, you have to study and want it and work so hard, because if you don't, just like that bucking horse is going to shoot you out the backside.
Yep.
Business will do the same thing. It's not forgiving.
Yep. And again, you're not going to win every time, so you got to feel if you get a setback, what can I learn from that? Because I just learned something. Now you've learned that's not the way. You learned,
right.
Okay, so now I'm going to go this other way. But it's not giving up and just continuing to try again until you succeed.
Right. I love that, man. So what's next for you and American Hat, as far as, I know y'all are on the road a lot. Probably be at the NFR and promoting the brand, but what else?
I'll be working for Best Hat. That's Susan's hat store, and so I go down and help them. So I'll work for them during NFR, and that's a long, that's a marathon. It's not a sprint.
That is.
I think I'm in Vegas for 17 or 18 days, which is about 15 days too much. But it's always fun. I'm always anxious to get there, and then come, toward the last few days, I'm ready to get home and slow things down a bit. But we have she has a new booth there at NFR. She's got a bigger booth. Last year we were overrun. We had the aisles blocked, and all of our neighbors weren't happy because we were blocking some of their booths and stuff like that. So we're trying to be a good corporate citizen. We've asked them to, give us a bigger booth, maybe move us off the main aisle, but you'll still be able to find Best Hat store there in Vegas. And so I'll be there, helping them. We've been making hats for them since we left Vegas last year. We make a little bit of hats for them every month in order to make sure that they're going to have hats, but they've had orders into us for, over a year of what they need for NFR, and we're struggling to get it all made. So
how cool is that, man? That's
great
just
problem
so busy. Yeah, it really is. It really is. And so real quick, we're running up on the end of the show, but so when you're preparing to go to the NFR for 17, 18 days, what process is it? Do you just start planning immediately when you get home for the next year?
Yes.
Or how do you?
When I leave Vegas, I'll leave there with their orders for the next year. Oh yeah, that's that. It's that. I mean, because we're so booked out, and so I have to make their orders a little bit at a time. So if I'm running black hats, I throw a few of their black hats that they're going to need for that in that deal. But it's a challenge. It's a challenge with the capacity at the factory. But like I said, we're trying to increase that here, make more hats per day, but not sacrifice quality.
I love that so much, and I hope to see you out there for sure. And Keith, thank you so much for being on the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show. I've enjoyed it so much. It's gone so fast. And,
yeah, it has. Thanks for inviting me.
I enjoyed it, man. And thank y'all for watching the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show and listening to us on the radio on NBC KCAA. And Keith, thanks again. And thank you, American Hat Company, for everything y'all do.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate what you're trying to do to, get the word out. So I appreciate that too.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank y'all for watching.
All right. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you to all the great sponsors of the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show. If you or your business is interested in being a sponsor of the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show, please call our office at 830-992-1786 or visit our website, cowboyentrepreneur.com.
Hi, I'm Scott Knutson, host of the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show, heard on KCAA Fridays, 3 p.m. Pacific. I'd like to talk to you about something I'm very passionate about. Those that know me know I love my coffee. In the morning, afternoon, and even late in the evening, I enjoy a good cup of coffee almost any time of the day. Now, my team at the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show has been working for several months on creating and introducing our own brand of coffee. We wanted to make sure that we got it just right. We don't want to put our name on anything unless we're 100% certain that it's the best product available, and we've finally done it. We have created a wonderful line of coffees, 13 fantastic flavors offered in whole bean, ground, and K-Cups, any way you like to brew your coffee. Now, each of our coffees carries our brand, the very same brand that we put on our horses, our trailers, and our chaps. So you know that this is a quality product. And we only use 100% Arabica beans, the very best beans available. Just listen to some of these wonderful blends and flavors. Jamaican Me Crazy, Honduran San Marcos, Chocolate Cherry Amaretto, Breakfast Blend, and my very favorite, Haley's Blend. A coffee so good, we named it after my daughter. You can order these coffees today by going online to javacowboy.com. That's javacowboy.com. And if you order today, you can get an extra 10% off your final purchase just by entering the promo code COWBOY on checkout. Remember, that's promo code COWBOY for an extra 10% off. Just go to javacowboy.com to order your coffee today. Hello, I'm Scott Knutson, host of the Cowboy Entrepreneur Show. I want to tell you about a product I've tried and I love, and I feel the Cowboy Entrepreneur audience will as well. It's Rebellious Infusions. Rebellious Infusions, they're little packets of flavor. And you know, it gets hot in South Texas, over 100 degrees every day. And I like my water, but it's water. So I use these infusions, put them in my water. It makes it cold. It's great flavor, 0 sugar, 0 calories. It's pure energy infusions. Rebellious Infusions. Go to drinkrebellious.com or on all social media platforms. Drink Rebellious.